What if I told you that beneath 2 miles of Antarctic ice lies evidence of a world we were never supposed to discover? A world where palm trees swayed in tropical winds, where rivers carved through lush valleys, and where some believe an advanced civilization might have walked before the ice consumed everything. Right now, scientists are pulling up core samples that shouldn't exist, examining maps that couldn't have been drawn, and asking questions that challenge everything we thought we knew about human history. Antarctica. The name itself conjures images of desolation, endless white horizons, and temperatures that can freeze flesh in minutes. It's Earth's most hostile continent, a frozen fortress that has guarded its secrets for millions of years. But what if this icy wasteland wasn't always frozen? What if Antarctica once teemed with life, warmth, and perhaps even people? The evidence is mounting, and it's stranger than anyone imagined. In 1949, a joint British-Swedish expedition drilled into the Antarctic seabed and pulled up something extraordinary: sediment cores containing pollen grains and plant spores. Not just any plants, but species that require temperate climates to survive. Trees, ferns, and flowering plants that had no business being anywhere near the South Pole. The samples were dated, and the results sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Some of this organic material was only 6,000 years old. 6,000 years. That's not millions of years ago in some distant prehistoric era. That's within recorded human history. Dr. Jack Hoff, one of the lead scientists on that expedition, couldn't hide his astonishment. How could subtropical plants be growing in Antarctica when Egypt was building pyramids and Mesopotamia was inventing writing? The only explanation was that parts of Antarctica had been ice-free in the relatively recent past. But this flew in the face of everything geologists believed about the continent's history. According to conventional science, Antarctica has been frozen solid for at least 15 million years. Yet here was botanical evidence suggesting otherwise. The discoveries didn't stop there. Throughout the 20th century, researchers found fossil evidence of Antarctica's warmer past scattered across the continent. Fossilized tree trunks, some over a foot in diameter, preserved in the Transantarctic Mountains. Coal deposits formed from ancient forests. Even fossils of dinosaurs and marine reptiles that roamed the continent when it was part of the supercontinent Gondwana. But those finds fit neatly into the timeline science accepted, pushing back hundreds of millions of years. The pollen samples were different. They were too recent, too impossible. Then there's the Piri Reis map, arguably one of the most controversial documents in the study of ancient history. In 1513, a Turkish admiral named Piri Reis compiled a world map using source maps that he claimed dated back to the time of Alexander the Great and even earlier. The map itself is a masterpiece of 16th century cartography, but it's what the map shows that has captivated researchers and conspiracy theorists alike for decades. In the bottom portion of the Piri Reis map, there's a detailed coastline. Some researchers believe this represents the northern coast of Antarctica, specifically Queen Maud Land, depicted without ice. Here's where it gets interesting. Antarctica wasn't officially discovered until 1820, more than 300 years after Piri Reis drew his map. Even more remarkable, the coastline shown on the map appears to match the subglacial topography of Antarctica, the actual shape of the land beneath the ice sheet. This wasn't confirmed until 1949 when seismic surveys finally mapped what lay under all that ice. So how did a 16th century map show geographical features that wouldn't be verified for another 400 years? Skeptics have plenty of explanations. Some argue the coastline isn't Antarctica at all, but rather a distorted representation of South America's eastern coast. Cartographic errors were common in that era, and mapmakers often filled in blank spaces with educated guesses or pure imagination. Others point out that even if the map does show Antarctica, Piri Reis clearly stated he used ancient source maps. Perhaps some unknown civilization did map Antarctica during a brief ice-free period, and that knowledge was passed down through copies of copies until it reached Piri Reis centuries later. Professor Charles Hapgood, a historian from Keene State College, spent years studying the Piri Reis map and other ancient cartographic mysteries. In his 1966 book, Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings, Hapgood proposed a radical theory. He suggested that an advanced maritime civilization existed during the last ice age and had mapped the entire world, including Antarctica, before being wiped out by a global catastrophe. According to Hapgood, the Piri Reis map was evidence of this lost knowledge, preserved through ancient source maps that survive into the medieval period. Hapgood's theory required another controversial mechanism, something he called crustal displacement. He proposed that Earth's crust could shift rapidly over the mantle, moving entire continents thousands of miles in a relatively short geological time frame. Under this theory, Antarctica could have been positioned much farther north thousands of years ago, enjoying a temperate climate before being thrust into its current polar position and freezing almost overnight. Mainstream geology has thoroughly rejected crustal displacement as physically impossible, but Hapgood's ideas continue to inspire alternative historians. What makes Antarctica such fertile ground for these theories is the sheer inaccessibility of evidence. 98% of the continent is covered by ice averaging over a mile thick, reaching nearly 3 miles in some places. If anything is buried under that ice, ruins of ancient cities, artifacts, evidence of habitation, we simply cannot get to it with current technology. It's the ultimate hiding place, nature's own classified vault. But modern science is starting to peel back some of Antarctica's icy veil. Satellite imagery, ice-penetrating radar, and advanced drilling techniques are revealing the continent's hidden landscape. Scientists have discovered vast subglacial lakes, like Lake Vostok, that have been sealed off in the outside world for millions of years. They've mapped mountain ranges and valleys that rival anything found on the surface world. And occasionally, they find anomalies that don't quite fit. In recent years, satellite images have shown what appear to be geometric structures beneath the ice. Perfectly straight lines, right angles, and patterns that some claim look artificial. Mainstream scientists attribute these to natural geological formations, unusual rock patterns, or data artifacts from the imaging process itself. But for those convinced that Antarctica holds secrets of a lost civilization, these images are tantalizing hints of what might lie beneath. The theory of prehistoric Antarctic habitation faces enormous challenges. The most significant is timing. For humans or any advanced civilization to have lived in Antarctica, the continent would need to have been ice-free during a period when such civilizations existed. Geologists are adamant that Antarctica has been predominantly frozen for millions of years, long before humans evolved. The ice core records, which provide a year-by-year climate history going back hundreds of thousands of years, show no evidence of a recent ice-free period. Yet those pollen samples from 1949 remain unexplained. Could there have been localized ice-free regions, small pockets of habitable land surrounded by ice sheets? Or could the dating methods have been flawed? Some researchers suggest that catastrophic events, perhaps an asteroid impact or sudden volcanic activity, might have temporarily exposed portions of Antarctica before the ice returned. These scenarios exist on the fringes of accepted science, but they're not entirely impossible. What we do know for certain is that Antarctica was once radically different. 50 million years ago, during the Eocene epoch, Antarctica was covered in forests. Fossil evidence shows that beech trees, conifers, and even palm trees grew there. The continent had a climate similar to modern-day New Zealand. Ocean currents kept the region relatively warm, and the Antarctic Circle received months of continuous sunlight each summer, allowing lush vegetation to flourish. The transformation from green continent to frozen wasteland happened gradually over millions of years. As Gondwana broke apart and Antarctica drifted southward, ocean currents shifted. The formation of the Antarctic circumpolar current effectively isolated the continent, cutting it off from warmer waters. Carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere dropped, global temperatures fell, and ice began to accumulate. The process took millions of years, not the overnight freeze that catastrophist theories propose. Still, the human mind is drawn to mysteries, especially when they involve lost civilizations and hidden knowledge. Antarctica represents the ultimate unknown, a blank canvas upon which we can project our most ambitious theories. Perhaps that's why the continent features so prominently in alternative history narratives, from Graham Hancock's theories about advanced Ice Age civilizations to more fringe ideas about ancient aliens and secret bases. What's undeniable is that Antarctica still has secrets to reveal. Every year, climate change causes more ice to melt, occasionally exposing landscapes that haven't seen sunlight for thousands of years. Scientists have found meteorites, including fragments from Mars, preserved in pristine condition. They discovered species of bacteria and microorganisms that survive in extreme conditions, expanding our understanding of where life can exist. Who knows what else might emerge as the ice continues to retreat? The Piri Reis map, whether it truly depicts Antarctica or not, reminds us that ancient peoples were far more sophisticated than we often give them credit for. Medieval and ancient sailors crossed vast oceans, mapped distant shores, and passed knowledge across generations. The idea that some geographical information from warmer periods could have survived through oral traditions, ancient texts, and copied maps is entirely unreasonable, even if the specifics remain controversial. As we stand here in the 21st century, looking down at Antarctica from satellites and drilling into its ancient ice, we're really asking deeper questions about human history and our planet's past. How much have we forgotten? What knowledge has been lost to time, disaster, and the relentless forward march of geological change? Antarctica forces us to confront the limits of our understanding and admit that Earth still holds mysteries we haven't solved. The frozen continent will keep its secrets a while longer. But whether those secrets include evidence of ancient habitation, accurate prehistoric maps, or simply a more complex climate history than we currently understand, Antarctica remains one of the most intriguing frontiers in the study of our planet's past. Perhaps one day, advanced technology will allow us to see clearly through those miles of ice, to map every valley and mountain, to examine every layer of sediment for clues about what came before. Until then, we're left with tantalizing fragments, controversial maps, and questions that refuse simple answers.